We're live. Welcome back. We got John here, my best friend in the apartment. And we're going to talk about two very special games because they're the games in state, Pittsburgh versus the Ravens, Eagles versus Cowboys, and they are the teams that John knows the most about.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. He is the over king. Bet responsibly, but we have had a really good time watching football, and I thought it'd be great to talk about this season because I haven't yet. First, we have Pittsburgh versus the Ravens, the first divisional matchup between these two teams. You know it's going to be a close one. Both these teams combine as 10-1, against as a favorite, and Steelers are 1-0 as an underdog. Not sure why they were an underdog, but they proved their worth in that game. So, John, who do you think is going to win?
Yep. This is a very good question. Thank you. And really, I'm from Pittsburgh. I'm a big Pittsburgh fan. You know, I've always loved the Steelers, but I mean, like Mitch was saying before, I've really just gotten big into football this year in particular. Ever since we just moved into our apartment. But I really think it comes down to the statistics. If you really look at the facts, Steelers have been playing a great O-line and D-line, and really they've just been kind of maneuvering up and down the field left and right. And I think the same can also be said about the Ravens. But even if you look at Big Ben in himself, he's doing great this year, still hasn't gotten hurt, which is always a positive. And I think it'll be a close game, but I do think the Steelers are going to take the dub. And I'm also a big fan of the over in this game too. Of course, it's going to be very competitive. And both teams also have a very good offense and defense, but I really think there's going to be a lot of passing plays, and that's going to turn into touchdowns, and I really think, especially in the first half, it's going to be very high scoring.
Yeah, I agree with your point about the Ravens' offensive line. They need to perform to make this game close because the Ravens, they focus on that running attack so often. It's not as important in the passing game because Lamar Jackson can find that space outside the pocket. But yeah, I do have a stat for you though.
Okay.
The Ravens Stadium, which I believe it's being played there, it is 0-3 to the over, so it has hit 3 unders this season. Why are you so confident about the over?
You know what? That's a very good point you bring up, and of course that is worth considering whenever you're looking at all the statistics and facts and everything out there. And I really think on both teams, their offenses are just going to come out strong, come out swinging, and really try to score as many points as they can just in the first half overall. And I do think it's going to be a close game, and that's going to be a contributing factor too. And then come down to the fourth quarter, I wouldn't even be surprised if it goes into overtime or some kind of last play that ends the game. So even though this might be a bit of an anomaly for an over at the Ravens Stadium, I'm still pretty confident that's going to hit. And but like you said, it could go either way. However, I do think they're two strong offensive teams, and that's going to come out this Sunday.
You always give a unique perspective to these games because you don't have that background in football like, say, I do or others on TV. So right. I'm very happy to have you here to give your perspective.
Oh yeah, of course.
Whether it's right or wrong, it's always fun to hear though.
Always good to hear different views, different
Yes.
viewpoints, and everything like that. I know sometimes we differ, sometimes we agree.
Yes.
So yeah.
Like last night again with the Falcons.
Yep, that was good. So yeah, I can't complain there.
Finally, they won a game.
Uh-huh.
All right, but now we'll focus on Eagles versus Cowboys.
Okay.
The Cowboys have called them a dumpster fire. I'm not sure what you think of that, but they have looked awful the past 2 games. I'm pretty sure they've scored a combined 13 points in 2 games. That's a full 2 hours of game time where they have so much trouble scoring, as well as they have trouble stopping people from scoring. They let Washington score over 20 points, which they don't do often. So how do you think that game is going to play out with the Eagles coming off a close win against the Giants?
You know what? You do bring up a very good point. But really, just starting off from the beginning of the season, neither team's played up a par, with most other teams in the league. And I think that's definitely shown for the first half of the season, at least for the first couple games they've played. But I think the Eagles have started turning it around a little bit. Like, I know it was a close game against the Giants. But I think they are starting to turn around a little bit and play a little better, more of like an offensive team. When it comes to the Cowboys, I still really haven't seen many improvements overall in the team. I think it will be interesting to see them play the Eagles on Sunday, but it could go either way. I think what it comes down to for the Cowboys is really momentum. You know, they just keep losing game after game after game, and that's really got to hurt morale for the team. And I also think to an extent the coaching staff has to contribute to that as well. You know, I mean,
Definitely.
there has to be some kind of correlation between how the team's been playing and how they're really coached overall. You know, overall, I do think the Eagles are going to win. Like I said, they've really kind of turned their the way they play around past week or so. So I think it's really going to be a good game to see. But I do think it's going to be an under kind of game. You know,
Wow.
but it will be good to see, and I'm looking forward to the game.
All right, thank you for your opinion. And I want to say you just bring up a bunch of great points because the coaching staff has clearly not had control of that team. They're destroyed by injuries, some may say, the Cowboys and the Eagles. And the Eagles actually, they ended up scoring 28 points on what some may think is a good Ravens defense, which I personally don't find that impressive because we know the Eagles love to come from behind and they love to make games close in that very end. We've seen it so many times. It's going to be a great weekend.
It is.
I
Yeah,
cannot
great football
wait.
weekend. Looking forward to it.
All right. Do you have any final thoughts or?
I kind of like what you said before about the whole injury thing. I know that's been a big part of really the NFL season overall this year. So many players getting hurt, and I really have to think that part of it is just the fact that with COVID going on and everything, people there wasn't a preseason. Playtime might be a little less regular, especially practices and everything like that. And I really think that has to be a contributing factor to how teams are playing. Really, if you look at, I believe it's the Eastern Conference, where like everyone's just losing their games right now.
Yeah, the NFC East.
NFC East, right? Where basically, I think the number one team in that seed, I don't even know their exact record.
It's
but,
the Eagles with a 2-4-1 record.
right, and like I said,
amazing.
The Eagles have been turning around their play a little bit the past week or so. But I do have to think that injuries have been a big contributing factor to how teams are doing this year. And in particular, like you said, for the Cowboys, they've had a couple injuries here and there. And I think that has to hurt, especially morale and everything else. So, yeah, that was a good point.
All right. Thank you for coming on, John. And hopefully, at least I'll be back next week. We'll see.
Thanks for having me.
Later.
Peace.
Go Falcons!